This is a book review of Billy's Boots. Now this is from the pages of Scorcher. I think it was in quite a few other issues as well. And of course it's been reprinted multiple times in different places, in Holland, etc. So there's a lot of stories involved with Billy's Boots. It's not just, I must admit, when I was reading Billy's Boots, I assumed it was only like about 40 or 50 issues and that was it. But there's a lot of story. However, of course, there's a lot of repetition. What can you do? Billy gets his boots. Billy loses his boots. His aunt gets rid of his boots. Billy misses his boots. Someone else gets it, and so on and so on. There's lots of variations on that. But still, I love this one. Certainly when I was growing up. And actually, the stories are still genuinely very enjoyable. And this is by Fred Baker, Colin Page, Mike Weston, Bill Lacey, Tom Kerr. And this is The Legacy of Deadshot Keane. And it's quite nice that Deadshot Keane is in the story as well. It's not just like someone that was like 100 years ago and is dead. It's actually got this guy's. Now, I'm not actually certain there's ever an explanation why the boots are in his attic. Maybe there was. I didn't see any explanation. Now, in Marvel Comics terms, they would have had some origin story of why, and also the mystic ability that it somehow, or is it mystic? I don't know. This, of course, is always, they might be old-fashioned boots, but they feel just right for me. So there's the back. Now, this is from Rebellion. Rebellion have been bringing out loads and loads of these brilliant books. This one is actually slightly unusual in that it's hardback, and because quite a lot of them have been paperback. Treasury of British Comics, and also, even slightly different, is that it's in colour. So, the life of a great footballer. But I really hope Rebellion keep bringing more and more of these brilliant books out. So it's also got a lovely, there's some, with all the credits, etc., but done as obviously a layout on a football pitch, which is really, really nice touch. Now, it's not a very big book, and hopefully there will be a volume 2, volume 3, etc., because what this does cover is basically a year's worth of the Billy's Boots stories. Originally serialised in Scorcher, 10th of January, 1970. So it's January 1970, quite a bit. I bought Scorcher at the time. I'm quite certain I probably had that issue all the way through to the 9th of January 1971. So a year's worth of Billy's Boots. And see, just going to run through this book. Now, this is meet the lad who's crazy about football but could never get a game. Sounds a bit like me, actually. No, I always loved football. I must admit, I did play badly as well. So unfortunately, I never got Billy's Boots. But in many ways, I always wondered with Billy's Boots whether it was just somehow they were just the relationship with the boots. It was a sort of, because maybe he really did, he just didn't have the confidence to be the football. Because I just felt that there was never an explanation of how this mystical ability to actually match. Oh, he reads a diary or book, obviously, about the player and how, and then in that match he would go and get. It's always very. Why did he read in that particular order? Or was it every match he would just read a little bit more? He was obviously a very slow reader. However, I just think it was great. I love the first, there's a great scene here where he blasts the ball. This was the thing, actually that was near enough my style of football as well. Basically, I loved always moving positions and then blasting the ball and then hopefully it would go in or not. More often not. Probably do like he always had, where the ball went flying over the, it was always just pressing that. But it's great that all the various shows a lot of. I wonder how many kids, when they're reading this, were thinking, you know what? Maybe if I practiced or got these old boots, I could also become an amazing footballer. Who knows? Imagine many a modern footballer grew up on this sort of stuff, and well, maybe not modern footballer now, but you know what I mean. The 1980s ones. I suspect that unlikely, because of course. These, sadly, I don't think that these appear regularly now in the comic books. There's the occasional special and maybe they appear in there, but I think in Holland, like I say, they've still, you've got copies of magazines that have still got Billy's Boots. So, but the UK, of course, we haven't. But this is, I think, is lovely because the reproduction is absolutely glorious. It's very, very cleaned up, very nice quality all the way through. This is a real decent quality book as well. So it's just unusual, but it's fine. So hopefully there will be a volume 2. I really hope so, because the story just ends. Literally, that's it. But the story's got a lot of backwards and forwards where he gets into trouble a lot of times because, of course, he does it. And, of course, his boots are I mean, why he never went to, maybe he did. Maybe there's a story where he actually turned around to his aunt and said, "Stop throwing out the boots. These boots are the thing that's making me the great player." But no, she would throw the boots out. "Oh, you know what? I'm going to get you a Christmas present." And then she would get rid of the old boots. Really? You know, a bit like my mum. "Oh, I bought all these new comics for you." "Yeah, but you've thrown all my old comics out." "Thanks." You know, really? However, I love the fact that he always had problems also with his boots, was he had to go and get them repaired. Of course, that's often what happens. Boots got split. Of course, playing in the winter, you get, they weren't going to last forever. And of course, "Oh, I can't do any more. They're too far gone," sort of thing. And there's also a load of other information about various, obviously you've got, follows Billy's career. And he does go through the sort of, gets better and better. Obviously, he always has the odd rough game where he's not playing very well, sometimes because of the boots. Suddenly, and then he would read in the book, "Oh, that Deadshot had a bit of a bad game that game." And then, but he's always amazing. I love the way he passes the ball, and always the team, the player, often obviously scores from that, which I think is great. But again, there wasn't much development really with his friends. There was a little bit, but not as much as could have been, I think, because of course they had with a change of school, etc. So I always felt that was a bit lacking. There was no real background, but maybe that's just me way looking at the comics thinking, really, but they obviously, the main thing was the football match. So I don't think there was ever a single issue, you know, you got in the story here, where he didn't have a match or something, or kicking a ball, you know, at some point. There was never an episode like a Christmas one where you'd just be sitting having a sort of a chat with Deadshot or something over a turkey. Maybe they did that story later on, I don't know. But in here he didn't. But I love this. There's some great scenes here. This is, of course, with these books, they've obviously always, every time, and I'm just going to show you there, they've always put the, see Billy's boots there. And that's repeated all the way through. I don't think that particularly changed. Also, they always put along the top, "Billy's got on the bad side of the manager" before his trial game even started, which I always thought was a bit stupid, because why say that? You know, I can understand having a little blurb at the end saying there's more of this super story in next week's new season Scorcher. Don't miss! That kind of thing. Billy's dazzling display of song. But they'd always put a sort of blurb at the top. I never understood that. That makes no sense. Be like Marvel comic coming out, Dr. Octopus episode, and saying blah, blah, blah about Dr. Octopus. What's going to happen to poor old Spider-Man? You know, would let me read the book. Sort of thing. But anyway, obviously he's got a variety of different managers, coaches, etc. Some who say, "You know what, he's a bit of a troublemaker," kind of stuff. Well, you know, he's got these boots that sort of control the game. Just let him play. You know, just let him get, because he would obviously go into the thing, "Well, I want him to be a defender." But, yeah. Again, they didn't develop, like so many of the things, but lots of references here, which I must admit, the old shoe shops, completely different from modern shoe shops, where, must admit, when you go to modern shoe shops, it seems to be more collections of things about passports now and keys than shoes. Every time I've been into shoe shops, virtually they always look and go, "Can't do any of those." Here, they seem to just do anything, knock these things up. Really amazing. Also, of course, as always, there's always problems. But I love this. Absolutely. This is not like a very, it's only a year's worth of stories. And like I say, hopefully that means that the next volume will be 71, 72. And, but I thoroughly, really nice quality paper. Like I say, colour all the way through. Very unusual. Obviously, now, I don't remember if it was in black and white or colour. Obviously, they must, because they did do that. You had some stories in these issues would be solidly colour. So clearly, every story, for some weird reason, Billy's boots were in colour. And it's obviously a very basic colour. You've got very strong greens, obviously, for the football pitch, obviously blue skies, etc., etc. And I love the way the aunt changed. I've just noticed, got aunt here. She looks completely different, which is odd, considering, I assume, I don't know, it's not, obviously there were multiple, there's certain couple of artists involved in this. So, Yeah, it's slightly different there. However, I loved it. Absolutely brilliant. I love the story as well with the book. I don't know if they ever released. Now that would have been a something. Someone brought out the actual book that they used, the Deadshot King book. Maybe it did. I don't know. But that nowadays people would have demanded that sort of book to come out. All the people would have said, bring out an annual or book of Jimmy Keane was a member of the Oakwood, whatever school, etc. And it's sort of blurb about it. That would have been brilliant. So you could have followed the book as well. However, now it's also got at the back. You've got all the details about the artist, etc. Fred Baker worked in comics, etc. Best remembered is Billy's Boots, which he wrote for over 20 years. So this is what I mean about years. January 1970 until May 1990. I read it basically 71, 72, 73 sort of period. Now I was shocked when I found out obviously 20 years. So I mean potential 20 volumes. Though I must admit, I wonder how many variations of the Oz Osman Boots short story you can really run. Suddenly Thanos gets the boots and you've got the Infinity Boots. No, I don't think that would have happened. Billy's Lacey, Colin Page, Mike Weston and Tom Kerr. It's got obviously all the details. And when you read this, some of these things as well, you've got like Adam Eterno. Now, I'd love to see a volume of Adam Eterno. And there's also, of course, loads of other these stories that you think, oh, wouldn't it be brilliant? The Tara King Avengers TV comic. So they brought those out. And also, again, Adam Eterno again. Leopard from Lime Street, of course, they've got 2 volumes of those out. You've got Darkest Mob and HMS Nightshade and loads of other ones here. Hot Shot Hamish. That was 12 years as well. Hey, Hot Shot Hamish. Now, I'd love to see a volume of that come out as well. Skid Kids. Quite a lot of these series really ran for quite a long time. And then you've got an advert here, available now. And I haven't bought this yet. Maybe it's very good. Maybe I should check it out. But Roy of the Rovers, that's from Rebellion. So I think there's also they bring out specials every once in a while as well. So got those things. And Rebellion do bring out some specials. There's the Misty one coming out very shortly. So I'm looking forward to that, see what that's like. And then they've also got some other ones here. Ken Reed. Now, I was never a fan of... So I didn't even buy the Ken Reed's books. Some people love that thing, but just didn't do... Wasn't my cup of tea. However, they run a lot. Obviously, got the ads there for Ken Reed's Welcome to Creep Show, and you've got Ken Reed's Worldwide Weirdies, I should say, and Ken Reed's Years Volume 1, and but also Leopard. Brilliant. Leopard of Lime Street. Now, I don't know if that's finished, if there's just 2 volumes or there's more to come of that, hopefully. So, and that's it. What an absolute gem. I love the stories in this. Billy's Boots was something. And I must admit, I still pick up the annuals. They're quite often find in charity shops or whatever, and you find Score and Scorcher and all those sort of things. And I love those football annuals. You know, you read them. And of course, there's lots of players. They've always got all the photos of all the various players, Bobby Moore, etc., Pete Osgood. And, of course, they're absolutely fascinating. Really, you've got all the information and facts about the teams. But, of course, they often had the strips as well, like Billy's Boots. And I love this one. And it's just been brilliant that Rebellion have brought this back. So, Billy's Boots, Volume 1, totally recommended. Love it.